All right, I'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all again for tuning in. Thank you all in advance for those who come back and watch this a little bit later. I know that time is valuable, and so, if you're coming back and watching this at a later date, or you're watching it again to kind of come back and brush up on the information that we covered, that's great. And so this will remain on this Facebook group, so you all can come back to it anytime you need a little brush up on some of the information. Tonight, one of the things I wanted to cover, kind of as we kick this off, is what to expect when starting a new skincare regimen. I think that you all have had the products for a couple of months now, and I really just want to make sure that we are kind of getting in front of any questions you may have as you introduce the products to new people, new clients. I got to tell you, I'm just so excited to look at your amazing before and after photos that you all have been posting. That's been really amazing to see the results. They're pretty staggering, really. And so I love seeing that. Truora is really something that is very different and unique. And I think that, once you understand what makes us so different and so unique, it really not only fuels your passion for what you're doing and the products that you're using, but also it gives you the words to go out and really target new clients that you're bringing into the business. This is an amazing market that we're in, and the niche that we really have carved for ourselves gives you a very unique point of difference. There are brands out there that kind of play in various lanes. We've got those brands that focus on natural, clean formulas. You've got those brands that really are less concerned with that part of it and more concerned with the hard-hitting anti-aging benefits. And then you've got a newly emerging category of products that really are using more advanced probiotic and prebiotic ingredients to specifically target the health of the skin's microbiome, which so much research is being done on that. In fact, Rick and I are going to be in Boston at the end of next month. We were invited to attend the National Microbiome Conference, so we're really excited about that, and meet the other players in our industry, from the medical field, from cosmetics, really across the board, who are focused on improving the health of the microbiome. And I say that it's a trend, not a fad, because it really is a direction that I think you'll see more people doing. Now, the thing that makes Truora so unique is we don't play in just one lane. We've got those clean, natural formulas. We follow a very strict guideline, formulation policy and guidelines for formulating our products. But we also have, we also incorporate those prebiotic and probiotic ingredients to target the health of the microbiome and help bring the skin back into a state of balance. In addition, we have a very heavy focus on anti-aging and really delivering those hard-hitting anti-aging results that you all have become used to, but also that clients, especially aging clients, have grown to expect. So we play in all three of those lanes very effectively, giving us a very unique approach. There's really nobody else that is playing the way that we're playing in here. So as your before and after pictures that we post on Facebook have proven, the results are visible and they're very significant. Not only is your skin brighter as a result of, clearer and brighter as a result of an improved microbiome, but also we're seeing age spots, disappearing, skin discolorations, hyperpigmentation, melasma, all of that disappearing because of all the really, the arsenal of the skin brightening, skin lightening ingredients that we have in all of our products, which really do help, which really does offer those significant visible anti-aging results. And then, of course, we've got all the peptides that we put in the formulas, which really give you a broad spectrum, around-the-clock repair benefits. And so, although the majority of people who the vast majority of people who have been using the products have seen very rapid improvements in their skin condition, and they've seen only positive results. It's important to understand that everyone's chemistry is just a little bit different, and it's very unique to them. And for some, there could be a period of adjustment that's necessary as they start to transition into new products. So my goal here today is really to help offer some tips for troubleshooting. You know, should you be one who is experiencing a more difficult transition as you use the new products, or give you the words to say for clients who may be experiencing the same thing. Now, the first thing to keep in mind, and this is just basic knowledge. Anytime you change a product, much less an entire product regimen, there's a risk that the skin will go through an initial purging process. As you start to use the new product, the skin becomes detoxified and becomes accustomed to the new products, especially when you're looking at formulations that are as different as these are. So I want to just kind of address those one at a time, starting with breakouts. You know, what to expect, or what are words to say if you have somebody who experiences a breakout. My goal is to help you understand what the problem is and then help address it with a solution. That I found works across the board pretty well for most people. So starting with breakouts, you know, we never expect breakouts. We certainly don't plan for them, but it's not out of the question to experience a breakout or two, or even moderate breakouts, as your skin is detoxifying and purging toxins that may have been there for a while if you weren't using products that were designed to help detoxify the skin. Now, there are several ingredients in our formulas. Number one, the probiotic ingredient, the Lactobacillus ferment lysate, as well as the phytic acid that is in the tonic. Both of those ingredients are really intended to help stimulate the rate of exfoliation or the rate of cellular renewal. And that's something that's very important. Now, while the goal of any anti-aging brand is to increase the rate of cellular renewal through exfoliation, this process can cause a period of time where you may have some purging, some detoxification of the skin, and it may result in breakouts. And I've seen this most commonly with people who have a history of acne breakouts, particularly hormonal acne breakouts, or they may have oily skin that, you know, naturally needs to detoxify and purge. Now, the first thing that you need to recognize is this likely will resolve itself with continued use. This purging process, great question here, Renee. How long does the detoxifying period normally last? It can last 4 to 6 weeks. I've even seen instances where someone has started using the product and maybe were fine for the first couple of weeks, and then the purging started a little bit later. You know, it's impossible to say exactly if or when that would happen, but that process normally only lasts 4 to 6 weeks at the most, and of course decrease in severity as time goes by. Now, the first thing to recognize is it will resolve itself with continued use, and you don't ever want to stop the purging process, because that's our goal. With, you know, to have healthy skin, we want to make sure it's clean and detoxified. But there may be a desire to slow it down somewhat if you are having more severe breakouts. So in this case, I would really recommend stripping the regimen back down kind of to the very basics. Cleanser twice a day, tonic maybe once a day, or even every other day, because remember, that has that phytic acid, and the phytic acid is actually increasing exfoliation or cellular renewal. And then use the day lotion both AM and PM. And so go ahead and just kind of get used to that regimen. Once you use that for a few days and you see that the breakouts are subsiding, go ahead and add the night cream in and get used to that core regimen. And then after, you know, and then as the skin adjusts, add in those other treatment products. The majority of people would be able to use, you know, a full 7-piece regimen right off the bat. But if you are one who experiences breakouts in this particular instance, it's maybe best to get used to the core line before expanding it into the treatment products. Great question, Becky. What kind of reaction would be stop using? I'll get to that in this very next section, which is really addressing irritation or allergic response. A similar recommendation is really necessary for those who may experience irritation or an allergic response, and sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. Now, neither of these are common occurrences. We don't ever plan for them, but one thing that you have to know is that people have allergic reactions to natural ingredients, and these are natural ingredients. And so, although we never plan on it, and we try to minimize, the risk of allergic response by the ingredients that we use, there are times when somebody is going to have an allergic response and simply can't use a product or products because of that. But if you are having, a product reaction of any kind, it's important to stop using the products altogether until your skin regains normality. If you never let your skin regain normality, you're never going to be able to identify the culprit of the irritation or the allergic response. So once the skin has really regained normality and the irritation is completely subsided, then it's recommended to add the products one at a time until you determine the culprit. So, and when I say one at a time, actually that's a little misleading, because the first products that you need to use are cleanser and then your day lotion. And use those both AM and PM because your skin has basic requirements. It needs to be cleansed and it needs to be hydrated. Anything beyond that is good to have. So, stop using, once the irritation subsides, start using cleanser and day lotion, AM and PM, and let your skin adapt to that. Now, if you can use those two products with no problem, after about a week, add in the night cream, so that way you have your nighttime moisturizer. And then continue that process, just adding one at a time until you determine what the culprit is. Now, you may find that as you slowly add the products back into the regimen, your skin adapts on its own. I know when I first started, testing the products, there were a couple of the products that, I could feel a little tingle. I saw a little redness in my skin, which actually I was encouraged, because that if redness is there without irritation, that really speaks well to your the circulation and bringing the blood to the surface and really creating healthier skin. But you may find that as you start adding back products into the regimen, your skin adapts just fine, and you're able to use the products without issues. But remember, they are natural ingredients, and natural ingredients pose a risk for an allergic response. It doesn't mean the product's bad. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the formulation. It's just everyone's chemistry is completely unique, and everyone is allergic to something. We just hope that something isn't something that we have in our skincare. Now, another question that seems to be, another concern that seems to be popping up is actually related to dryness. And that's probably the most common question that we've received. A feeling of dry skin, a feeling of tightness and dryness. First of all, keep in mind that there is, pardon me, speaking of dry, there is a difference between skin dehydration and surface dryness, and sometimes they can be confused with each other. Skin hydration is really the lack of hydration or moisture in the skin, where surface dryness could be the result of dead surface cells. Because remember, we've got those ingredients like the probiotic ingredients and the phytic acid, whose purpose is to exfoliate the skin and cause it to become dry and eventually be removed. And so a lot of times when we experience this surface dryness, we think, oh my gosh, my skin is dry, where actually it's really just surface dryness. So first of all, if that's the issue and you do feel like that, it's important to make sure you're using the products correctly. And so starting with the cleanser, and I only say this because I've seen some people who, when they start using the product, they take the cleanser and they, pump it right in their hand and then put it directly on their face. This is not a lotion cleanser that's really formulated to be used that way. And so if you do put it directly on your skin, you run the risk of stripping your skin a bit and causing, it to be maybe dehydrated. So what I always recommend is to, pump the cleanser into your hand, mix it with water, and create a very nice, luxurious lather. Don't be stingy with the product either. 4 or 5 pumps is great. And I realize I have more face than a lot of people, but make sure you're cleansing your face, neck, behind your ears. It's really, it's a cleanser that's really intended to be used all over. But make sure you foam it up into a lather and then apply it to wet skin. And you're going to see that is actually gives you a more cushiony cleansing experience, and it doesn't dry the skin. Now, another recommendation, because we don't yet have an exfoliator in the line, we will have an exfoliator in the line, by the way. But the reason we don't have an exfoliator in the line is because it's very difficult to find a physical exfoliator or a scrub that is compatible with the skin's microbiome. Not only can they provide unnecessary irritation, but also, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. But also, they can strip the skin and damage the microbiome. So we really had to take our time with developing a scrub that would be compatible with this line. We have one that we've identified. We're in the process of getting everything done to get that to the market. In the meantime, it's been very helpful for me because when I started using all these products, I made a commitment. I'm not using anything else from any other brand because, I've got to make sure that, the skin adapts without, using other products. So one thing I started doing is using the buffer brush that we had in our previous world with my cleanser or a really inexpensive coarse washcloth when you cleanse. And cleanse with that cloth or cleanse with that mechanical brush, and it really helps to offer gentle daily exfoliation. The benefit of that is you remove those dead surface cells, which gives you the appearance of more hydration, but it also allows your skin, your treatment products and your moisturizers to be absorbed into the skin more effectively. So, I think that would be something if you are experiencing a little surface dryness, that coarse washcloth, when you cleanse, that's definitely something that really helps. Now, in addition to that, while the tonic is a very, very important part of the regimen, because it really is, that not only that first line of repair benefits with that phytic acid, it's also helping to restore the skin's pH, which is crucial for the health of the microbiome, but it's also really providing those prebiotic ingredients, pretty potent prebiotic ingredients, which stay on the skin and help feed, the probiotics that we've got in all the other products. But while it's a very important product, it can, if used too often or too much, it can, because of the exfoliation benefits, kind of create that feeling of dryness or dry skin. So maybe you should use the tonic a little less often if you feel a little too dry. Maybe every other day, increasing it to once a day until eventually your skin adapts and you can use it on a regular basis. Now, when it comes to moisturizing, make sure you're using enough product. And that's one thing that I really saw, that I really see people, not using enough of the moisturizer. 4 or 5 pumps is not too much of the day lotion to put on your skin. Make sure you're putting enough on so you can get the good, the good hydration benefits, the essential fatty acids, but also the barrier benefits that are on the skin. If necessary, one thing that, I live in a very dry climate. Our humidity here is 3% today. And during the cold winter months, when I really was struggling with dry skin, I found that, after I let my day lotion absorb a little bit, I would actually put a little more on after it absorbed, and really increase the moisture barrier. If that still isn't enough, you might think about adding a little bit of the night cream to your day lotion, on top of your day lotion, to really boost that hydration until the skin can actually become balanced. Remember, the purpose of what we're trying to do here is bring the skin into balance. That means making oily skin less oily and dry skin less dry, to a point where it's actually everybody's skin is more normal. And that's something that happens as the microbiome becomes strengthened. The barrier function of the skin is improved to allow us to hold on to more hydration, and actually our skin will actually become more hydrated the longer that we use them. Now, if dryness is prolonged, you might also consider stripping your regimen back down to the basics, just to make sure that some of that dryness isn't the result of some of the more advanced ingredients in our treatment products being a little bit of a shock to the skin. Sometimes if you're using something that does have those amazing anti-aging benefits, the skin kind of responds to that, if it's not accustomed to that, by maybe feeling a little bit dry. So that's something you may also want to do, is just pare your regimen back down to the core regimen, allow your skin to adapt to that, and then start adding the treatment products in one by one. So that really covered off kind of our irritation, allergic response, dryness, and breakouts. So do we have any specific questions that we can address in the last little bit of our time? Renee, should you use the buffer if you tend to have acne? I think the buffer or a coarse washcloth is actually very effective even if you have acne. The last thing you want to do if you have acne, particularly cystic acne or hormonal acne, is to overly irritate the skin with a scrub. So actually the brush or a washcloth would be an ideal way to exfoliate the skin, versus using a more harsh scrub. What about products sloughing off when applying makeup or sunscreen? I haven't really heard that before. It's a great question. Typically the reason that happens, and we call it peeling, if the product peels on your skin, it's usually the result of the way it's being layered. And I think a lot of that, maybe it's too heavy a layer of the day lotion perhaps. You might try applying it on damp skin, like immediately after the treatment product, and see if that helps mitigate that. I think that might be a way to help minimize that. Good question though about sunscreen. I just want to point something out when using sunscreen. There are two different kinds of sunscreens. There are physical block sunscreen and there are chemical sunscreen ingredients. Chemical SPF ingredients actually absorb into the skin, and then they absorb the UV rays into the skin and prevent them from doing further damage. Physical block SPF ingredients actually sit on the skin and reflect the UV rays. So the rays actually never enter into the skin. If you are incorporating an SPF product into this regimen, make sure that you're using a physical block SPF, which would be titanium dioxide or zinc oxide, those will be the active ingredients in the SPF product that we roll out later this year. But chemical SPF ingredients can be very irritating to the skin. They can be disruptive to the skin's microbiome, and they can cause you unnecessary irritation. So if you are shopping for a sunscreen, make sure that you are looking for something that it provides physical block SPF benefits rather than chemical SPF ingredients. We have it, Kathy Paget says, we have it clearing up hormonal hyperpigmentation. I don't know if that's a question. then yes, we have noticed that it has, because of the advanced skin brightening ingredients, skin lightening ingredients that are used in all of the formulas, there's dramatic skin lightening benefits for regardless of the source, whether it's melasma, pregnancy mask, acne scarring, discolorations, or any form of skin discoloration is really big. We've been able to address that pretty effectively. Keep in mind though, they didn't get those discolorations didn't get there overnight, and they're probably not going to go away overnight. So, I'd say 4 to 6 weeks is a great length of time to start seeing results from anything that you're using to lighten or brighten the skin. Kelly McCormick, I had little breakouts on my cheek, so I diluted the toner, and it seemed to work. Is that okay? Diluted with water. Actually, that's a great tip, Kelly. Thank you for that. If you just saturate your cotton pad, or dampen your cotton pad before you put the tonic on, it actually helps to dilute it a little bit. Not ideally what you want to do forever, but it's something that's great to do as your skin is adapting to the products and the effectiveness of the products. For an oily skin person, what's the best regimen? Midday, she experiences shiny, wet-looking skin. I would say that for someone who has very oily skin, the basic core regimen is great. And keep in mind that as the microbiome becomes more healthy, the skin becomes more balanced, that oiliness is going to actually be improved. Maybe a little less night cream at night. That might be something that could help as they adapt to the products. Maybe a little less of the day lotion. If they're very, very oily, they probably don't enjoy a large amount of moisturizer anyway. And so, that may be something you think about. Specifically, what products will we see in Dallas? Well, specifically, I'm not sure exactly which products we'll have ready. We've got a lot in the works. We will start rolling color out at our conference in Dallas, and there will probably be a few more products that we launch there if we don't launch them sooner. We're trying to get things out as quickly as we possibly can. But I think it's good to have this time for people to get used to a core regimen. I can name 5 companies off the top of my head who became $5+ billion companies with one product. So we've got 7 really amazing products, and I think it's good for everybody to kind of, get used to the products, get used to the concept of the products, and then we will have a steady stream of new products that will be rolling out afterwards. Jennifer, does the tonic need to dry before applying other products? Not necessarily. In fact, that's probably a great recommendation for somebody who's maybe experienced some peeling, like you suggested. If the skin is a little bit damp, it really should help settle the product onto the skin. But no, it doesn't have to be dry. That's a matter of preference. Ronnie, what do you suggest if had breakouts when started using the products? After using the products since introduced, still pimples did not go away. Back to my original recommendation, I think it's good to strip the regimen back down to the very basics. And you might want to go back and kind of re-listen to that segment on the breakouts. But I've really found, that with continued use and then by just, slowing down the use of your products a little bit to allow the skin to adjust, it really has been, very helpful. Well, Becky, thank you very much. I'm glad to be back working with all of you guys again. Sharon, how do our products compare to European standards? Recent question for me. That's a great question. Actually, the EU, the European standards are very strict, and we've chosen to really kind of follow those guidelines because you never know when expansion could happen. So we follow EU guidelines on the use of ingredients, the concentration of ingredients that we use to make sure that they are universally acceptable. Sandra Bell, should you keep your makeup brushes clean? My thoughts were you're putting bacteria back on your skin when applying your makeup with dirty brushes. That is very true. It's very important to clean your makeup brushes on a very regular basis to make sure you aren't, kind of re-injecting that bacteria back onto the skin. Connie Parker, will we be getting a facial brush? We will be looking at rolling out a buffer style brush when we introduce the scrub that we've got in the works for right now. Pam Dresna, thank you for this. Carrie had very oily skin and switched to the day lotion twice a day, which helped a ton. That's great advice. So if you are someone who has very oily skin and you're finding that it's not improving as quickly as you'd like, using the day lotion AM and PM would probably be great. Stacy Bringer, this is great. Absolutely, the core products reduced my oily skin to perfect. No shine and no need to powder midday anymore. These products work for me. That's fantastic. I really appreciate that. Just confirming what you said another time. Chin breakouts are usually hormonal. Is that correct? Yes, chin, jawline, forehead breakouts are typically hormonal breakouts, which doesn't make them any less of a breakout, but it does make them a little harder to get under control. Hormonal breakouts can be really tricky. Joanne, when is the conference, please and thank you? It is at the end of July, and if you go on the Facebook group for Truor consultants and leaders, I know it's on there. I kind of fly by the seat of my pants. I just know I'm going to Dallas sometime. I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to be there, but it's the last week in July, I believe. Or I want to say 26th or 29th, if I'm not mistaken. But that information is available on the Facebook group. Okay, Leslie, is it common or possible that after 2 months of use, all of a sudden flare-ups with rosacea when you hadn't had any in the first months? Rosacea is a difficult skin situation that can trigger at any time if you are prone to having rosacea breakouts. So yes, it is possible. My recommendation is to kind of strip your regimen back down. You kind of got to determine what your trigger is for that rosacea. So you pare your regimen back down to the basics, and then add them in until you can determine which ones cause you the issues, and then then it's easier to figure out how to manipulate your regimen. Okay, Carla Chandler, I'm loving my skin. Due to surgery, I'm just now getting the full feel of the benefits. I think you just talked about SPF. Will we have something soon? Yes, we are currently in testing process for the SPF product, and it will be rolling out. SPF products take an extended amount of time just to make sure that all the testing is done. We add in an extra amount of testing, because of our extensive no list and our formula restrictions. So we will be out as quickly as possible. I would hope by the end of the summer we will certainly have that. Do the serums act as a makeup primer? They possibly could, Leslie. I think that they don't really lay there's not really a lot of leave-on product that, the residual product on the skin. They're very light. They absorb very rapidly. They help tighten your pores. They help to, offer skin firmness. That could actually become a great makeup primer. We did put, some of the film-forming ingredients that we put in the day lotion actually provide a makeup priming benefit as well. So yeah, that's great. Another thing, now that we're on the topic of serums, and I'll cover this in another Facebook Live specifically, but one thing that I do, and I don't have sensitive eyes by any means, but one thing that I've found very effective in my regimen, because eyes are everything. I'm always very concerned with, making sure I've got the most advanced products on my eye area. But I use the AM and PM serums all the way up under my eyes and on my lids before I put the eye treatment on. And I think, unless you have real sensitive eyes, I would suggest trying that to really kind of increase the benefits. The skin firming, the skin lightening benefits, all of the great things we have in all of our treatment products. Get them as close to your eye as possible. Is there going to be travel sizes? There likely will be at a later date, and I don't know what that is. I was just told by the team there that we weren't ready to do it just yet, but we'll keep you posted as soon as we have more information on that. I have a couple of people who are sensitive to scents and want to know if we'll have an unscented moisturizer. It's something we could look into if there seems to be a growing need for that. I can tell you that the moisturizers, we only put scents of any kind in something that doesn't have a very good base odor, and we only added in there enough to mask that base odor. So it would involve a totally new formulation that didn't have the same active ingredients because it would have a base odor. So if it becomes an issue, we will look at it, but at this time, there's no plans to have an unscented moisturizer. All right. Well, I think we kind of covered off all the questions since we're right at 40 minutes, which I want to be respectful for everyone's time. I got to keep you coming back here every week. So thank you again. Thank you again for joining me tonight. I really, really appreciate it. I love you guys. Be sure to, use this forum, use this Facebook group as a way to, communicate any questions you may have, any topics that you would like me to cover on a weekly basis. I am totally here for you guys in this group. So I want to make sure I'm addressing topics that you want to see on a weekly basis. And, so if you have questions, we'll get to them. I appreciate you all keeping it positive and keeping it nothing but love in here. That really makes it easy on my end. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you have an amazing week, and I will see you all back here same time next week. All right. Have a great night.